40 is a big number. James Harden's hit it 20 times this year, and now you can get 40% off at The Athletic by going to theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball. They feature huge names like David Aldridge and John Hollinger, and also have great in-depth bubble coverage for every team. You can download the app, customize who you want to follow, and you also help support this channel by heading over to theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball for that 40% off. Back when the calendar turned over to 2020, which I think was about 7 years ago, Jayson Tatum caught fire. In his final 20 games before the shutdown, he averaged 28 points on singeing 46% three-point shooting, sparking conversations about whether he was merely on a hot streak or if Tatum had taken the fabled leap to superstardom. After 6 more weeks of bubble ball, I think we have a pretty clear answer. We'll see just how impressive his numbers are in a second, but let's take a time machine back to the fall of 2018, when Taco J was criticized for a perceived sophomore slump. Back then, I noted he was settling for long twos and could have attacked the basket harder, and 2 adjustments in these areas have turned him into one of the better scorers in basketball. Let's start with attacking the rim, where Tatum's been far more aggressive this year, and his physical development has helped him. He's actually grown since being drafted, up to 6'8" without shoes now, and a near 7-foot wingspan. This bigger frame has supported a huge uptick in aggression. He's now big enough to throw his body into contact and finish some of these. Jumping off of 2 feet is key to Tatum, allowing him to load up and take contact, and that is a very rude thing to do to a former colleague. His handle and burst are sharper now, and this is a perfect example of his physical development changing the equation. The 2-foot jump gives him more bounce, and he's quicker to the apex than Horford, so it's a foul. Tatum's able to take more contact now, and he's seeking it out on many of these drives, and as a result, his free throw rate has spiked. A glance at his overall numbers won't show this, but the improvement pops when Boston's lead guard is off the court. Last year with Kyrie Irving on the bench, Tatum took about 3 free throws every 75 possessions. In the first half of this season, with Kemba Walker out of the game, he took 6 per 75, and since his outbreak in the middle of January, that number is now over 8, which would be 8th best in the entire league this year. He draws a bunch of fouls by leaning into space once he has a step on his man, and this is unlocking a bunch of easy points at the line when paired with that nasty first dribble of his. Tatum's really quick with that first move when he decides to go, and since Boston often swings it to him while he's on the move, he can use that skill to catch and then create an advantage with this first dribble. His footwork and ball fakes from these classic triple threat positions are crisp and effective, and in closeout situations, defenders are worried about his spot-up shooting, and Tatum leverages that to his advantage. That's a nice big stride, although there's not much lift after it. He's still not a great rim finisher. I'm not sure he'll ever be, because he doesn't have that much lift without a nice runway, and he uses his stride length well, but they often lack burst. He's far more comfortable finishing to his right, and I buy the idea that his small hands prevent a lot of slippery finishes around defenders at the rim. So his second area of growth, his pull-up three-point shooting, has been an enormous game changer. Instead of those long twos from early in his second season, Tatum operates behind the line now, and he's just been absurd since the middle of January on these pull-up triples. Defenders still have to worry about his drives, and along with a high release point, that has made his sidestep three-pointer a revelation. This is a variant on the step back, but what I love about it is how he can get this off comfortably, sliding to his left or sliding to his right. And Tatum has been bombing these big time. He's taking 6 pull-up threes a game since the middle of January and shooting an incredible 44% on them, similar numbers to Damian Lillard's hot streak that we examined last month. I'm not sure that accuracy is sustainable, but this shooting opens up more of those drives and makes Tatum more dangerous against the popular drop, pick, and roll coverage. And against pick and roll coverage, Tatum's learning how to pass more effectively, and this playmaking growth is his third key area of development. There have been clear improvements here just in the bubble alone, where Tatum has built upon that pre-shutdown run as a go-to scorer by learning to punish defenses when they react to his threat to score. He showed improvement earlier in the 2020 season, starting to find his big men on laydowns when help came. But there's been another step forward in the bubble. The Athletic's Jared Weiss has likened Tatum to a quarterback learning to go through his progressions. He looks at the laydown but thinks better of it with Kyle Lowry there, and that means the kickout is open on the wing. Here's a similar play showing the speed of these cross-court passes. That little lob pass there is still a bit too tight for him, but he skips it hard and then good things happen. Here's a full pick and roll progression. The roll man is plugged up. He might want this skip pass to the corner, but he can't find a clean release. That means the kick out to the top goes next, but a long defender lurks there, so he instantly snaps it to his final option as the clock runs down and still ends up with a good look. With more experience, Tatum is expanding these reads. For instance, this pass doesn't really lead to anything, but he's looking to make it, and so when help is late to arrive in situations, these can turn into layups. Very nice. And he is starting to make those cross-court passes when help pulls into the lane. This is so much better than a difficult mid-range fadeaway, and his size helps him send these over the top of defenders with speed. Another clear upgrade is his quick release trigger on these passes, starting to whip them off the bounce like the game's best orchestrators. Again, here's another one-handed bullet, and the speed of this release and the pass is a key component of great passing, as I outlined last year in LeBron James's passing study. The rebound comes back to Tatum, and look at that little head fake using his passing to set up the scoring. This kind of subtle manipulation should continue to develop as Tatum feels out defenses more, and in Game 3 against Toronto, he used the little look-off to move Lowry out of his gap, and that hesitation turned into free throws. And all these little tricks aren't just about passing. Here he sets up for that two-footed takeoff, but it's a disguised Euro step that leaves Serge Ibaka grasping at air. Since the middle of January, Tatum has played well with Kemba alongside him, 23 points per 75 possessions on 60% true shooting. But Tatum's promise really shows up when Kemba's been off the court and more of the offense runs through him. He's put up a stunning 31 points per 75 on 61% true shooting in these minutes, with that huge aforementioned jump in free throw rate, and most importantly, he jumps into the 94th percentile in my shot creation metric, making him a viable offensive engine in these spots. Tatum-led units have put up an impressive 117 offensive rating in this span, and that suggests he's arriving as a viable offensive centerpiece. Tatum's defense has remained strong during all of this growth. As I noted earlier this year, he's still phenomenal in passing lanes or helping over into the paint, and if anything, I think he's improved as a man defender over time. He still has some foot speed weaknesses, but he's also strung together really good possessions against skilled wings. That increased wingspan bothered Kawhi Leonard at times on a few of these releases back in their meeting before the shutdown. Because of that solid defense, impact metrics do view Tatum as close to a top 10 player. I'm not sold on him being quite there right now, but I do think the key is that three-point shooting accuracy. 44% is likely unsustainable, but if he can shoot these pull-ups and step-backs at, say, 40% on this kind of volume, and revive his free throws back to around 85%, Tatum would sit behind only the very elite offensive weapons in the game, and that, combined with his strong wing defense, would make Jayson Tatum a top 10 player in the NBA. Check out that 40% off at theathletic.com/thinkingbasketball. That helps support this channel, as do the Patreon subscribers who really make this possible. They get additional videos, content, a live monthly Q&A, and more at patreon.com/thinkingbasketball. Hope you are all enjoying the bubble playoffs, and as always, that you're having a great day.